Hello, welcome to How's the Market, Pensacola. I wanted to shoot this on Monday. This is actually for April 13th is when I get the data for Escambia and Santa Rosa County. But I actually waited. Today is April 16th, so it's Thursday, because I wanted to see the new builds come out this week. I knew that was on the schedule, and I wanted to see what new construction looked like so I can bring you some additional data right now. So we're going to start with a different slide. Let's actually go down to my screen now. All right, so if we take a look at this, this is actually from the Advisor Perspectives. It's a company that does a lot of this data. But if you look, the Census Bureau, the Department of Housing and Urban Development published their findings today for March new residential housing starts. The latest readings of 1.216 million was below the forecast of 1.3 and a decrease from the previous month's revised 1.546. Now, what does all that mean? I mean, I can read off these numbers left and right, and I can go here and show you here's new privately owned housing units started during certain recessions. If you look, our last recession, which is what led a lot of the housing led the recession, it actually went way down. So we're seeing stuff that goes down. The problem that we have shows up in this graph right here, and that is we've got a regression in housing starts, but a need for housing continues to rise. If you've watched the show for any amount of time, you know that I've said in our area since before Halloween of 2019 that we are entering a crisis mode when it comes to inventory. Now, the builders look like they're going to stop building as much for the foreseeable future until we get past this. All right, I have seen some serious incentives for anyone looking to close in Q2 of 2020. If you are looking to buy a property in our area in 2020 and looking to close within the next 2 months, by the end of June, call me. There are some serious incentives I can get you on brand new properties. So they're wanting to sell what they have, but the starts are not as strong. Now, are we slightly insulated in our area? Somewhat. You'll see in some of the numbers that we've actually come from hyper sellers up to sellers markets in some of the price points, which, okay, that shows a little extra inventory, but this has not hit yet. Not in our area. This is kind of what's coming down the pipe. And now that I've seen those huge incentives from new builds, I wanted to show it to you before we even started talking about our local market. Speaking of local market, let's go. I'm a man on a mission. My mission is to help people break through all the noise out there and don't need no permission. I want to help you get to actual truth. Don't you just want the truth? All right, so if you've watched the show at all, you know that I always start off with this slide. I normally don't do a slide before that, but I want to give you the special circumstances. It's a special report. This slide always talks about the housing, whether it's a neutral market, buyer's market, or a seller's market. It says if you have between 6 and 7 months worth of inventory, you have a neutral market. Anything greater than 7 months is a buyer's market. Anything less than 6 months is a seller's market. What it does not say. Anything greater than 9 months is considered a hyper buyer's market. Anything less than 3 months is considered a hyper seller's market. I will be talking at the end of this on how I think projections are going, what I think could happen, and how we should be playing it right now. But let's take a look at the numbers first, because that's always what the purpose of this is. We are starting with Santa Rosa County, and as for a while, everything under $500,000 in Santa Rosa County has been a hyper seller's market. But if you look, between 50 and 100, we had some new inventory come on. So it bumped up from a hyper sellers to a sellers. Same thing happened between 250 and 300. We had some inventory come on. So that's a seller's market. The 4 to 450 market, and this is something people need to pay attention to, jump from a hyper sellers to a neutral, which changes everything. Okay, from both the buyer and the seller side. And then 450 to 550 is back down to a hyper seller's market. But then, just like last week, 550 to 600 is a hyper buyers. So if you're at 550, you either choose to be in the hyper sellers or the hyper buyers market, depending on what you want to do and what you need to accomplish. That's going to become more and more important as we move through COVID-19 is what do you need to accomplish? What are you trying to accomplish? I'm going to talk about skipping mortgage payments here in a minute. All right, 600 to 650 looks like it's almost a hyper buyer's market. 650 to 700 is almost a hyper seller's market. Again, we've got that little weird thing going on. 700 plus in Santa Rosa County is almost a year's inventory, so it's a hyper buyer's market. Escambia County, this one seems to be more flat like it has been. Everything under 250 is considered a hyper seller's market. Let me pull Santa Rosa County back up again to point this out. At 150 to 200 is still under a month's inventory. You got anything that fits in that, call me. If we need to sell. If you need to sell. Which there are people out there that need to sell. But I'll talk about that here in just a minute. All right, the 250 to 400 mark seems to be just a seller's market in Escambia County, which you've noticed there was a couple of these were closer to neutral market over the last few weeks. So these have dropped down to seller's market, 400 to 450, hyper seller's market, 450 to 500, seller's market, 500 to 550, hyper buyer's market. So again, remember we're in 550 in Santa Rosa County was that fluctuation mark. Which vault do you want to be in? As a seller, which one do you want to play in as a buyer? Because your marketing changes, your tactics changes, your negotiation changes. Same thing in Escambia County, except it is a 500 mark. At 500 is a little different. 550 to 600 is almost a year of inventory. That's gone way up. And it's not necessarily the inventory has gone up there. It's the appetite is not there. If you look between 5 and 550, it's at 9.4 months worth of inventory. There is nothing pending. Everything that is active is just active. And at the 550 to 600, there's only one pending. So there's not as big of an appetite right now for that. 600 to 650, we're back down to a seller's market. Not really a hyper seller's market, but definitely a seller's market. 650 to 700, slightly over a neutral into the buyer's territory. And 700 plus, definitely a hyper buyer's market right now. All right, let me talk to you about what I think could happen. First of all, we've seen a bunch of people talking about mortgage forbearance, but it's not forbearance. I got a notification from my mortgage company on my home saying, don't worry about it with coronavirus. You don't have to make a payment for 6 months. That's what the email said. Don't worry about it. What the letter said when it showed up was that at the end of 6 months, I'm going to owe 7 months worth of mortgages. Let me read that again, just so you guys realize this. There's a lot of people taking 2 and 3 months, no payments. Interest is still accruing. We all know that. We accept that. But there's some income issues that have happened, and everybody's going, okay, let me take this. But at the end of it, it's all due. Do I believe that mortgage companies are going to wind up doing a ton of mortgage modifications? Yes. I don't think they want a foreclosure crisis. Do I believe all of them will? No. And what are you going to do in November when the mortgage company says you owe 7 months worth of mortgage payments? Or we're going to spread out these 6 months worth of payments you missed over the next year. So your payment that was $1,000 a month is now $2,200 or $1,800. And you got your job back. The economy's opened back up and you're actually working again. But you were used to a $1,000 mortgage payment, not an $1,800 mortgage payment. That could be difficult. So be very, very, very cautious about taking the mortgage companies up on this. There have been a lot of my friends and a lot of ways that people are playing this is that they take the exact mortgage payment they were making and put it into a separate account that is untouchable. They're hoarding cash because they're trying to figure out what's happening. And the uncertainty is causing a scarcity mentality. I get that. I understand that. But don't just think that you're not going to make a mortgage payment and then you're just going to go back to your regular one. Do I think there's a possibility you could wind up going for mortgage modifications and they put it at the end of the loan? Yes, I do. I do not think the banks want a rash of foreclosures. And I think if we get back operational and you get back to making the money you could afford, I think they probably will do that. Will there still be some people that need to sell? All of a sudden, I got 6 months worth of payments and I'm working through a mortgage modification. And we see how long unemployment's taking right now. So we're working through a mortgage modification, but I need to wind up selling because I can't afford this. And they'll take a little bit of a loss. Yeah, I do believe that will happen. Do I believe that it could cause inventory to drop or prices more importantly? Because that's what I always get asked questions. Do you think prices are going to drop because of this? Overall, no, I don't. I think that we were expecting about 4.5% increase, appreciation this year. I think that's probably going to get more like to 2.5 now overall. In an individual neighborhood, could you have 3 or 4 properties that where the owners become stressed because of it and have to sell and sell at a discount, temporarily pulling property prices back slightly? Yes. Yes. This is when you're going to have to make arguments to appraisers, especially as a seller. This is why you can't concentrate on Zillow or Zestimate or Trulia or whatever these online systems are, because they cannot get into the details of the sale. When a Zillow looks at its Zestimate, it basically pulls from a certain radius and says, okay, everything within this square foot sold for this. Great. Your property must be worth this because this is the square foot. It could not tell that it was kind of a distressed sale. That's why I always complained about it during the foreclosure crisis. You had foreclosure properties where people took the kitchen sink. I actually went back and saw an interview I did on Channel 3 News 2010. It's been 10 years ago. 2010, they asked me an interview, and we walked through a property that it was foreclosed on, and there was all the cabinets were gone. It was not, the kitchen was walls. No appliances, no kitchen sink, no nothing. But that house sold at a certain price, and Zillow said, well, because of the square foot, this was yours. No, it's not. So as a seller, if you have to sell, call me. If we really need to sell because we need to make a move with a company, I've got military folks coming in and out. I got a couple of listings from people that are retiring military right now, and they're ready to sell their rentals to start their new life. They need to sell. Okay, cool. I get it. That's the need to sell. If we've got to sell right now, let's chat. Because I think right now you have a small window before we even see any of this. Let me speak to the buyers for a minute. I do not want buyers looking at this like, oh, well, prices are going to pull back. I'll just wait. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it is going to be sparse, and I think it's going to be neighborhood driven. So if you're a buyer and you need to buy something right now, call me. There are some ways you can. I hate to use the words take advantage, but there are certain pockets right now to where a buyer can get more for their money right now that I think is a limited time as well. It's a weird time. It's a weird time. I've been in this industry for a long time. I started out in finance, real estate and finance in 93. So we're coming up on, 30 years almost? 27 years? 30 years? I've seen a few of these come around, but this one's a strange one. So you've got some pockets. You've got some things that you can take advantage of right now if you have to sell. If you don't, let's talk about restructuring. I can't tell you how many of my clients are calling me about refinancing. Okay? Let's discuss that. We'll figure that out and figure out if that's best for you. I bring this data every week so that you can see what's going on in our counties. Do I think that it's always going to be like this? No. I was listening to a ton of talking heads today on CNBC when I was out for a run this morning, and they said, hey, everybody's agreeing real estate and housing is going to pull us back out of this once we open back up. Because just like you saw on that first data, there is an inventory crisis, and now they're not building as much because they're having to wait. I get it. I understand the position the builders are in. They're having to make those decisions right now. You as a buyer can maybe take advantage of that right now. Don't think that'll be the way all the time. I think as soon as the economy turns back on, we all go back to work. I honestly believe that builders are going to fire right back up. And there's a pent-up demand already. Like I said earlier, I have been preaching that we've had an inventory crisis in Escambia and Santa Rosa County since before Halloween of 2019. Now we're going to have an even more. That does not mean the demand's not there. Rentals are flying off the market. All right? Certain price points are just going crazy. You look at this 150. This was the 150 to 200. Even in Escambia County is 1.2 months. 1.2 months. If you remember in Santa Rosa, it was under a month. So that first-time home buyer, it's going nuts. Are we going to see some differences with some of these layoffs? Sure. I think that both sides of the equation right now have a small opportunity that they could take advantage and be able to get more for what they're wanting to accomplish. But it really comes down to, what are you trying to accomplish? And for that, that's going to take a live conversation. That's going to take a real conversation. Not one from a salesperson just trying to get you to sell something. Instead, that's going to take a real conversation of, hey, this is what I'm trying to accomplish. Okay, let's see if now is the time to make a move or not. All right. Thanks for watching. I'm a man on a mission. My mission is to help people break through all the noise out there and don't need no permission. I want to help you get to actual truth. Don't you just want the truth?